Alright, part two, part two. Chapter 5, quoting Gage verbatim. But you never quote me verbatim. At least, not very often. When you quote me verbatim, it's usually when you take a part of a quote and snip it into pieces. I mean, even your own podcasts are basically just you stealing audio and cutting it into hunks and then trying to reorganize the audio that you cut so I'm saying things that are hostile or mean, but you're not explaining who I'm saying it to or really why, because you lie by omission whenever you're confronted about something that you said prior to that, which may have led to that particular interaction. I believe the last word that I quote from of Gage is taken in the exact context that Gage intended it to be in. No, it's not, because you have a habit of twisting my words around like you think you're a lawyer or a psychologist, where you think that if you misappropriate the things I say and bullshit people about what I said, then it miraculously counts as me suddenly being a bigot or something. It's not how that works. Another thing. You made a grammatical error there, but I'm going to pretend that I didn't see that for a minute. It may be a racist, hateful, and anti-human based context, but nevertheless, I have never taken anything that Gage or any conservative has said out of context. Yeah, you do. You do it all the time. When I say it's not okay to be a child molester, you say it's that I said that it was against sex when it was against molestation, which is not sex, because sex is when two people are 100% on board. Molestation is when someone either takes advantage of someone that's drunk or incapacitated in some way, or takes advantage of someone that's ignorant and doesn't really know what's being done to them. However, Gage is a liar, so he will change the context of what he says in order to try to cover up his verbal hate crimes. It's not a hate crime and it's not a verbal hate crime. You can't commit a hate crime verbally. Me calling you a faggot, for example, does not count as someone walking up to you and attacking you with a fucking bat or a shovel, just because you identify as a different gender every day. That's not what actual hate crimes are. A hate crime is someone actually breaking someone's window or assaulting someone or killing someone or destroying someone's property or causing them actual harm outside of the internet, which I've not done to you or anyone for that matter. So grow the fuck up. And I don't alter what I say. You just decide what I say for me, and when I disagree with it, you claim I'm lying and trying to change my opinion about something, when the fact is, my opinion was plain and simple from the very beginning, and then you decided that my opinion needed to be something different, so you don't look like a lying dick. Fish is a racial word against Asians, according to you. Like the Urban Dictionary referred to it as a word against Israeli Jews, which are not Asian. They are primarily known as Cajun or Middle Eastern people. And Middle East does not mean Asian, because people in the Middle East are not Thai, Korean, Filipino, Korean, whether they be North or South. They are not Malaysian, they are not Japanese, and they are not any particular area where you may classify someone as Asian. Even people in India are not really classified as Asian. They're classified as Indian because India is like its own country with an entirely different nationality than people like, for example, from China or Japan. The fact that Gage has made excuses for his wrongdoing instead of just apologizing shows how he is defending racism, and therefore Gage is a hardcore racist. Hardcore is a compound word, not two separate words, dipshit. And no, me simply refusing to apologize for offending you because you're a dick that cries about everything, that's not the same thing as someone actively defending legitimate racism and legitimate racial hate crime. You're just an idiot that cries about nothing. Also, seeing how human beings are not fish, clearly Gage is pushing the acceptance of racism on YouTube and social media. No, you're literally just making a judgment call that literally no one else would be on the same line of reasoning with because you're insane and you need to feel like you have a point. Gage is the only fool here, whether he admits to it or not. You're the only person that's trying to convince everyone else that you're right when no one else ever agrees with you. That's the definition of a foolish action. The world has enough evidence as to why I'm the victim of Gage. You're a victim of your own fucking stupidity. And not the other way around. Oh, I'm sorry, did I lie about you and say things against you that might possibly prompt people to attack you or even kill you? No. I've only criticized your exact opinions and openly pointed out the likelihood of harm resulting from those opinions being brought into practice. He switches my words around. He takes my words out of context and lies constantly. This is literally all you do. Stop projecting. Gage is a hateful son of a bitch. Good, fuck off and die. Whose only job is to make people suffer. Who do not submit to the order of the GC2 cult and the conservative ideology. Again, me disagreeing with you in particular and pedophiles as a group is not the same thing as being some right-wing Bible-thumping neo-Nazi. Fuck off and die. Gage hates you and enjoys hating you. No, I hate the retard that wrote this because they're a spastic babbling fuckwit who goes out of their way to lie about people but doesn't acknowledge the fact that by lying about them you're potentially creating like the perfect storm for a defamation suit. However, I enjoy exposing this conservative to the millions of people all around the world who deserve to know the truth about the people in their neighborhood who are actually doing real harm. Yeah, I know, mean words on the internet is the same thing as being a serial rapist or a murderer. Seriously, just say it. You want to cause other people personal and professional difficulties because you believe that if you can get someone fired from their job or get someone attacked by random assholes because you lie about their actions and things that they've said, you consider that justified because it's in the name of defending your ass from criticism. That's all it is. You're the kind of person that if someone actually got lynched or beat up for saying things they never said because you just lie about things that they say, you're fine with that because you personally benefit from that person's suffering, even if you don't have the balls to actually be forward about it. The problem isn't foreigners, the LGBT community, who Gage also hates. Again, it's not a matter of being foreign, it's a matter of illegal immigration not really being beneficial for the people that live in the country because it creates an increase of crime. It makes it harder for people to be persecuted for committing crimes such as murder and theft. But remember, you don't care about that because you think that the moment you deny reality, it miraculously solves the fucking problem. Again, I don't hate gay people or the LGBT. I hate you because you're a douche who advocates for being a pedophile. It's the conservative, Gage included. No, you, who is the destruction of our families, our neighborhoods, our schools, and our homes. Again, people disagreeing with you and having the capacity to intellectually argue against you is not the same thing as being some Bible-thumping asshole who just starts storming into people's houses, burning all the books, and starts murdering people whenever they don't conform to an idea. That seems more like the kind of shit you do if you actually had the capacity to inflict violence. Nobody is safe around Gage or his cult. Nobody's safe around you because you'll try to rape them. You would literally try to rape anyone if they fall asleep around you. The people that meet Gage be on high alert of Gage, a Trump supporter, and a proud supporter of the Make America White Again movement. What the fuck is the Make America White Again movement? Like, what is that? What is that? I don't believe that one ethnicity should own any country or occupy any country solely because they choose to. I think that any country should be allowed to be a melting pot because it allows for people to exchange cultures and ideas in a more healthy, constructive manner than people invading it and laying siege to it. Stop babbling out of your asshole, you pretentious lying dick. Gage is the perfect example of what people in America and the world should not become. Critical of your dumbass views. The world needs globalization. Excellent grammar, dipshit. Not isolation. Well, here's the thing though, you're fine with isolationism when it comes down to being exempt from US laws, even if you're on US soil, but then you miraculously want globalization whenever it comes down to getting money from the people of the United States. So why is that? Why is it that you're against globalization when it comes down to you potentially being able to be persecuted by US law when you occupy US soil, but you're all about globalization when you demand money from people in the United States? We need wisdom, not failure. Well, you're fucked then. We need peace, not war. It's not war. You're just a dumbass. Gage is all about the destruction of the family. No, I just criticize you. However, am all about unity and peace. You're about unity in the sense that you want everyone to agree with you, and you're about peace within the mindset that you want anyone that disagrees with you either to be dead or silenced, whether that be in a gulag or a prison camp or just beheaded in front of people to be a warning for those who might threaten your narratives. Gage believes that the LGBT plus community is something to be laughed at, mocked, and bullied and slandered. No, it's more like you decide that anything said negatively against you is bullying and slander because you don't have the capacity to actually question whether or not people saying things about you might be specifically about you. Because you seem to have this dumb fucking mentality where if someone says one mean thing to you, it miraculously counts as hundreds of other people that aren't even involved in the situation because you've decided that they must be involved. Otherwise, you might realize that people don't like you. I believe that the LGBT people's lives matter, and that as human beings, they deserve the recognition and respect and the love they deserve. They deserve equal rights and equal treatment, that is true. But that does not mean that a child molester or a rapist or a pedophile should be given the same protection as the LGBT. Fuck off and die. Seriously, are you gonna take the organization Gays Against Groomers to task because those gay men are telling people that it's not okay to groom children? Are you going to take them to task and tell those gay men and those lesbian women that they're not gay and lesbians because they're against people grooming children because it's against your fucking narrative? I mean, is that really what you do? Because I care about people, even if they think differently than you. No, you don't. Because whenever someone disagrees with you, even remotely, you go out of your way to essentially dehumanize them, vilify them, and portray them as the fucking devil. I'm a prime example of this. I care about you. I care about Gage, but Gage hurts me to the core of his questionable soul. I hate you because you're an asshole that does horrible things and then belittles people when they don't agree with you. Why did you hate me? Look at all of the things you've said prior to this fucking paragraph, where you straight up accuse me of being a racist, a Nazi, a homophobe, all these other horrible things that you are well aware could cause someone to commit violence against me if they believe the shit that you say and decide that they want to take matters into their own fucking hands. Seriously, retard, does your brain break every time you think about that? Is your brain so fucking broken from changing identities every few weeks that you don't remember shit that you say in these own fucking retarded ass books? I mean, you keep claiming that other people wrote this, but if other people wrote it, you're still liable because you still gave them the reason to write it, and you still wrote all this shit with them. Because I'm a little transgender Asian who is friends with enemy, I must yay? No, it's because you're a douche. So because I'm friends with their enemy, that makes me the enemy as well. No, what makes you the enemy of someone is when you go out of your way to be a prick to someone, and then you go out of your way to basically piss and cry and scream at them and say that they don't have a right to disagree with you. Sadly for Gage and others, the world does not function like that. Well, you seem to think that it does, because you portray the world as just that way, where if people aren't with you, they're against you. And for some reason you don't seem to understand that you're creating the same dichotomy that you claim I believe in. Just because I have friends, which I can't say the same for Gage. Dude, no one talks to you or associates with you on any level that people are publicly able to notice. Does that mean that I'm a bad person? Well, it kind of does, because you're a douche. You can't project your mental transgressions on others and make them the problem of something that they had no connection to. That's literally all you do, though, is that you accuse people of random bullshit and say that the things that you suffer from that are inconvenient for you in the real world are somehow the fault of me ridiculing you, but not your actions. The madness which game is famous for, to the core. No, you! I have no connection whatsoever to Gage belief system. Well, of course not, because my belief system is all about thinking critically and questioning things when they don't seem likely to be true. I do not stand for what Gage thinks and says that I stand for. Yeah, you do. You stand for rape, bestiality, pedophilia, molestation, and incest. And then you go out of your way to say that anyone that criticizes that is the same thing as being a Nazi, because it's literally all your brain can process. Which makes Gage a liar. No, you! I never claimed anything that Gage said that I claimed. Yeah, you do. You claim rape doesn't exist, which you've said. You claim pedophilia doesn't exist, which you've said. You claim that you don't care about incest, therefore it should not be anyone's business, which you've said. And your retarded-ass reasoning for it was because the anatomy is the same with men and women for the most part, then that means it shouldn't make a difference whose anatomy is going in who, regardless of the fact that they're either a younger sibling, a parent, or a child that does not know you, and you're just doing a horrible act to them that will fuck them up for the rest of their life. That's what makes you a liar. Everything that Gage has said about me is made up and fake news. Actually prove it instead of bullshitting everyone else in the room. So the only problem that have been in existence these 2 long years that I known Gage is Gage. Excellent grammar, you illiterate fuckbit. Seriously, do you actually look at your own grammar when you write this garbage, or do you write it in a fucking ketamine-fueled haze because you don't understand that grammar looks like shit when you do this? It's absolutely ridiculous to the core. Not as ridiculous as the fact that you still think you're right when no one else agrees with you. The only reason why I am suffering is because Gage and his cult following makes things up about me. No one needs to make things up about you because the truth is far more damaging to you than anything anyone can make up. Because of their racist views against me and emoji. Wah, wah, wah. It must be because I think I'm Asian and not because I supported pedophilia. That must be the reason. No, it's not. You're just a dumbass. Nothing that Gage says matters anymore. Yet you cry about it and write dozens of books about it, okay? He is a liar about everything that is said about me. Prove it, please. Gage knows nothing about me. He doesn't care about me. So then I am the victim. So, let's see. So then I am the victim of Gage. You're a victim of your own dumbass, fucking crazy-ass bullshit delusions where you tell yourself that nothing you say could ever be wrong because you're in love with the idea of being in charge with everything, even if no one agrees with you. Like always, the LGBT people community Asian people are victimized by conservatives with no life and no intelligence. You don't have a life and you're not intelligent because you don't do shit with your time. You don't demonstrate the capacity to do anything of actual value because that would require you to have a memory. Gage couldn't reason with someone if his life depends on it. Excellent grammar, you dumb fuck. He has proven this many times with his victims and enemies. It's not, quote, enemies. It's either you are an enemy or you're not. You don't need to quote it like it's some sort of made-up fucking word. Like you're a fucking bullshit Deminguk Shania should be in quotes because it's not real to anyone except you. Here's the thing, it's not really reasoning if I point out the fact that someone's full of shit and point out why they're full of shit. I don't need to sit there and have like a 2-hour-long dissertation about why it is I can prove them wrong if I can just prove them wrong within 20 minutes. He can't reason with others because he thinks he is better than everyone. No, I just don't reason with people that don't demonstrate the capacity to reason. I'm not going to reason with someone when it's obvious that their ability to reason is essentially non-existent. If your only idea of reasoning is just to say a bunch of dumb fucking bullshit and then demand that everyone falls in line with it, then guess what? You're not reasoning. Because you're basically just trying to browbeat people and gaslight them into falling in line. Gage acts like he is always right. I've never said that I was always right. I said there are times where I am probably going to be wrong, and there are times people will most certainly be allowed to disagree with me. Even if I don't agree with them, they have the right to demonstrate a disagreement. When the reality is he is 99.97% wrong. Yeah, it's a very specific number that's made up inside your head, huh? However, even if Gage is too egotistic to reason with me, it's egotistical, not egotistic. Although I guess you could use them in both situations, so I guess you get a pass there. You very rarely get a pass, so good job. You managed to do something that seems remotely feasible. With me like a civilized human being, I am still correct in my ideology, my beliefs, and my religion. Your religion is literally a made-up one that you decided to basically create by appropriating principles of Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam and blend them all together in a really shitty manner. Because Gage has no real argument against me. Calling me names, shouting, and cursing does not constitute as a valid argument. You mean does not count as a valid argument, or cannot constitute a valid argument. And you're the least qualified to complain about people not having valid arguments, because all of your arguments are essentially, that doesn't exist because it doesn't exist elsewhere in the universe. Well, do you know why it doesn't exist elsewhere in the universe? It's because there's no other life in our observable galaxy that we're presently aware of. Therefore, that argument is irrelevant. Gage logic is unimportant, and I win against Gage, as I do every day when Gage makes a fool of himself and gives me more material to write my books with. Gage's stupidity is making me rich. Yummy! So more or less you're admitting to being a fucking parasite that just acts like an antagonistic fuckwit in hopes of antagonizing someone so that they respond, so that you can then pull the Anita Sarkeesian Zoe Quinn card of throwing yourself on the ground and crying and then writing a shitty dissertation about how bad you feel when someone points out the fact that you're a lying dick. You're basically just pulling the typical third-wave feminist on the internet card. Wherever you get ridiculed, you just say it's because of things that it has nothing at all to fucking do with, and you cry about it for no fucking reason. That's literally how a third-wave feminist would handle it. Like, no joke. I mean, let me just be clear right now. I respect the first two waves of feminism because they were about equal treatment and equal rights, and then it simply became a matter of make the internet for me so that I don't have to deal with any opinion that disagrees from my own. So, translation, you want to be treated better than the other person instead of being treated equally. No, we're not gonna fucking do that. You can either try to be able to compete in the argument by having a space in the intellectual market where you can actually argue and debate with someone effectively, or don't even fucking try, okay? Alright, back to it. I understand 100% of what I am saying. That's the sad part. You claim to understand it, but you don't understand the logical failings of it when they're brought right to you to be looked at. Sadly, again, Gage does not. What is there to understand? You literally say that you don't have an issue with rape. That's not people lying about you. That's you openly saying that you think it doesn't exist, therefore you don't care if it happens because to you it's not a problem. Gage doesn't even know what how the human body works or what a vagina is for. It's for sex and procreation. That much is fucking obvious. You don't gotta act like you're smarter than everyone because you're just a dipshit. Gage thinks that the penis is just used to pee with. Not really. It serves a dual purpose of sex and disposing of waste. Everyone knows this except you because you need to constantly create you over exaggerate stupid fucking statements and you make these convoluted fucking responses about nothing anyone ever said. No wonder he doesn't have a girlfriend. I've been in a relationship for nearly 10 years at this point. Gage is too afraid to use his last name in his videos. Translation, I don't provide my legal information, which means people could harass me and cause me difficulty in my personal life, because unlike you, I wasn't stupid enough to give people an avenue to find out where I live and work, to do things that may damage my life, because they could directly tie my actions to my name and my face, and possibly use these as a reason for people to terminate my employment. What are you afraid of, Gage? Well, I'm afraid of people I know and care about getting harassed by assholes like you on account of your sorry attempt to be a butthurt, crybaby internet professional victim. That more people will call you out for who you really are? No, it's more like I just don't want people in my personal life suffering problems or inconveniences just because you decide you need to be the whiny asshole douchebag victim about everything. You brought down yourself, and it is not my doing that you are making yourself suffer because of your terrible life choices. Translation, you brought it on yourself because I personally decided that I needed to make it some big song and dance deal, and you need to feel bad about what I'm trying to make happen to your life because I in no way am ever responsible for the decisions that I do or responsible for the things that I might actually intend on causing, while at the same time I openly say that I want things to happen to you. Pick one. Pick one. It's either you don't agree with my choices, but you're trying to simply say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Or, are you the crybaby bitch who says, you need to suffer because you hurt my fucking feelings? Like, which is it? You can't be both. You can't be both. I tried helping Gage, but he refused my help. Dude, you don't help anyone. You just browbeat them and talk shit to them and basically try to gaslight them into feeling like they're assholes for not agreeing with you. That is not even remotely close to someone actually trying to be helpful to anyone. I tried being nice, but he rallied against me. You never tried to be nice, because you always try to condescend over others about everything. I did everything in my power to keep the peace, by being an antagonistic shithead and walking up to people and spitting in their face. But he, instead, declared war against us. It's not us, and it's not war. People literally just mock you when you cry about it and say that's the same thing as someone driving tanks and drones into a building. Clearly, he is the cause of his own disgruntlement and depression. No, my disgruntlement comes from the fact that you're a shitty person that constantly tries to gaslight and antagonize to pretend that he doesn't understand his own actions. My depression comes from the fact that I have a really bad hand of genetics that causes it to hit me like a truck on some days and hit me like a feather duster on others. This is why my life is blessed and Gage's life is cursed. Your life is so blessed that you're constantly suicidal when people don't pay attention to you. Let this be a lesson to those who read this and those who hear this true story of my suffering. Hear spell as in over here, or as instead of I'm hearing the sounds of music in my fucking TV screen or whatever. So I bring in victimhood. Victimhood should be a compound word, not two. Dipshit at the hands of the DC2 cult, which is led by Gage. Translation: a bunch of people on the internet said my ideas were fucking stupid, and I cry and 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 try to act like it's some sort of massive political scheme. When the reality is I'm just a wee Todd that doesn't want to accept the fact that no one agreed with him. That when you do good things for others, conservatives will persecute you, like Francis and Donnie Swaggart. Shut the fuck up about the Swaggarts and stuff them up your ass. Do against Black Lives Matter on their show, Francis and Friends, on the SBN network. Just say the Swaggart Broadcasting Network, okay? Just say the actual fucking name. Because there's no point in saying SBN and then say the word network behind it, because N stands for network. Fucking retard. Which is run by Jimmy Swaggart, Francis' husband and Donnie's father. You mean the husband of Francis Swaggart and Donnie's father? Seriously, how hard is it to learn to use possessive nouns, you little sped monkey? But when you do wrongdoing against your community, the conservatives will praise you. What exactly is whose community, and what would you classify as wrongdoing? Because all that's happened is you've just been lambasted for being a shit. Finally, cursing there. That does not make you a bad guy, but a victim of the very oppression that you are fighting to stop. Well, here's the thing. You keep saying that if someone's brainwashed to do something, then they're still responsible for their actions. So yeah, they are still technically a bad guy because they're still going along with it and being complicit in it. My fight is against online bullying and the persecution of humanity for their uniqueness and individuality by conservatives like Gage. Translation: people criticize individuals who do things that may be bad to others, and you decide you need to become the shield maiden, white knight, crybaby, nanny goat about everything, because it's the only way to keep you from putting a gun in your mouth. Fuck off, you retard. Gage does not know me. There's nothing to know. You basically tattoo your entire psyche into these fucking books so that people can easily determine what your views and opinions might be about a lot of different things, and none of these views are particularly helpful to you. My friends know me. Friends that don't appear to be around you at any given time. My family knows me, and my country and my people know me. So translation: your fake country that's not real, and your fake people that are not real. So nobody knows you, because anyone that's ever had any association with you decided to cut ties for their own good. For those who oppress you, like Gage, oppress me, are spiritually dead, and for those who love their neighbor as themselves will move mountains. There's a difference between being kind and respectful to others, regardless of your disagreement, and then there's doing what you do, where you act shitty and cunty to everyone that disagrees with you, and then you act like you're trying to be helpful when you talk down to them and condescend over them like an ass. Seriously. You don't get to do that. You don't get to be the condescending fuckwit 1 minute and then claim to be the pacifist monk the moment people are looking at it. Make up your mind. It's either you're going to be the guy that's vehemently opposed to someone and you're going to be willing to oppose them directly, or you're a crybaby bitch who tries to cry about your problems and then does whatever you can to be just a massively annoying jackass to everyone involved, to the point where you want to pitch, bitch, and cry about things that even you yourself don't give two fucks about. Which is it? You can't have it both ways. You gotta pick one. Usually I'm not in favor of just having to pick a side, but in this case, either do an action and fucking stick to it. But I am not afraid of Gage. No one ever asked you to be afraid of me. I simply said that you're an asshole. That's all I've been saying. The Asian community, you're not Asian, fucking retard. And the LGBT plus community. LGBT plus community. Stick the P plus up your ass. Are stronger than those who harass us and make us look less than we are worth. It's not the LGBT, you dumb fucking retard. It's about the fact that you constantly try to act like an asshole and then cry about it when people treat you the same. And it's not a matter of making someone appear worth less or worth more. It's about the fact that you're just a dick. We Asians helped build America with no appreciation for our blood, sweat, and tears, but mostly blood, and our sacrifices that we made so that the white man racist fucking bigot. Yeah, like my ethnicity miraculously makes me guilty for the actions of dead people. Fuck off. Like Gage can use these things to take said things for granted. Well, people that are dead dealt with bad things. Well. Does it suck? Yeah, it does. It does suck that people were used as fucking slaves. It does suck. But what the fuck you want from me, dipshit? Do you want me to travel back in time and undo slavery? Because if I did, you'd have nothing to cry about. You'd literally be left at 0, 0, or 0, -1. The Chinese slaves, for example, built the American Railroad that connects the East to West, yet public transportation in America is least priority to the interstate system. That's because back then we didn't have cars. We had horseless carriages, we had horse-drawn carriages and horse-drawn buggies. The reason that trains were necessary is because we hadn't yet created cars. That's why they were so important. But now that we have multiple ways to travel the terrain that we didn't have centuries ago, it makes no fucking sense to keep making it a big-ass deal. They should still be maintained, obviously, for the safety of those who ride them or drive them, but that does not mean that it should be considered to be the highest priority way to travel. We Asians are strong and have existed longer than the Americans who step all over us just like Gage. Where? Yeah, you know, you deal with things that bother you in the world, and it's miraculously the fault of another person on the internet from hundreds of miles away, because apparently you need to act like everyone else that you don't like is automatically the fault of the inconveniences you encounter. Yet these conservatives act as if they own the world. No one said that. Shut the fuck up. Gage thinks that all Asians look white, which is a stereotype well known in conservative circles. No, I think that if you obviously are a black man, then you're obviously a black man. You don't become Asian just because you personally decide that you're Asian. It's the same reason that if I decide I'm black, I don't just become black. Which is racist and ignorant, like everything you say is. Gage denies their personal and ancestral narrative and humanity by saying you're not Asian because of what a person looks. This does not match a stereotypical understanding of how Asian people look. When the person is Asian and that person's life is none of his, Gage conservatives' business. Translation: you don't like the fact that I don't believe you're Asian because you assume the identity of an Asian golf player, hoping that you'll be able to leak some sort of financial benefit from assuming their identity. And it's not an ancestral narrative. I'm not denying the fact that you're a fucking human being. I'm denying the fact that you're Asian because you're obviously not Asian. And I call you a dipshit because you try to lie to people that obviously can tell you're not Asian. Piss right the fuck off. Gage really messed his life up when he decided to bully me. You messed your life up when you decided to say something about me that hurt my fucking feelings. Where? I'm gonna make a big deal of it for years until someone kills you. Where? That's really all it is. You want someone else's life to be miserable because yours is. Instead of trying to do something to improve your life, you blame others for it. A circular argument is the best argument because it's the truth. No, a circular argument is what a retard does when they can't justify their logic. Like, when you can't prove what you say, you waste their time. That's what it is. A circular argument is literally the argument someone uses when they want to intellectually exhaust and antagonize their opponent, because they don't actually have the capacity to debate the actual talking point, because they'd much rather waste the other person's time and irritate them with dumb shit. That's what it's really about. It's about the fact that you just want to waste the other person's time and be antagonistic as shit. That's all it really is. You're not really in favor of debating people and questioning your own views. You're instead trying to convince people that they're the asshole for thinking differently, and for some reason you don't understand how that works. Gage's argument is a straight line because it's a lie. No, if I can say that the grass is green because of chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is able to be produced by the grass blades because they're receiving plenty of sunlight and water, that's not me making up a lie. That is me stating a series of facts that directly correlate with one another. Nothing that Gage says adds up to anything real or exists in reality. Literally everything I just mentioned about grass, for example, it lines up exactly with how grass works. Conservative logic is a straight line. There are flaws in their logic, and their belief system has multiple flaws at best, which you will not list or name because it would require you to actually possess the capacity to actually reason for more than a split second. However, a circular logic has no flaws. Yeah, it does, because when you have an argument that basically just says, 'cause I say so, 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 that's the definition of an argument. That's nothing but a flaw, because the entire argument is based upon the fallacy that no one may challenge your statements. It's a fallacious argument. The very definition of a fallacious fucking argument, might I add. It is the truth that cannot be denied, which is why Gage still haven't been able, excellent grammar, you illiterate sped, been able to find one real flaw in my ideology in 2 years that I've been unlucky to know him. Well, a lot of the flaws in your ideology come specifically from the fact that you blatantly deny facts just so you can be right. That's a big flaw in and of itself, and which cannot be deceived, twisted, corrupted, or changed. Translation, it doesn't, I'm not wrong because I say I'm not wrong. Yeah, boo-boo, might as well be the fucking headline for that. Reality is way above Gage's mental capacity of understanding. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard come from almost anyone. Nobody ever died from sex. What about people who die from being penetrated with foreign objects and they bleed out? Or people who die from venereal diseases because they're not being careful with who they're fucking? Like, here's the thing, not everyone has VD, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be careful. Nor will we ever die from sex. Look at all the people that die from getting AIDS. Look at all the people that die when they literally have heart attacks during sex, etc., etc. People die from diseases or complications, but never sex. Well, those complications and diseases could sometimes be attached to sex. Look at HIV and AIDS. Just like nobody's ever died from breathing or drinking water. You can die if you breathe in the wrong chemicals. Like if you breathe in nothing but pure CO2, for example, you'll fucking die. Or if you drink too much water, you'll get water intoxication. Your muscles won't coordinate properly, and you'll die that way because your whole body will shut down. It's impossible. It's an impossibility that Gage can never comprehend. I literally just gave examples of how all of those things could be fatal in different situations, dipshit. Gage cares about your sex lifestyle choices, which is very creepy and weird. Not as creepy and weird as constantly trying to sexually harass people that don't fucking like you, hoping that your sexual harassment of them will somehow make them soften their tone towards you. Gage wants to control who you have sex with. No, I just don't agree with people raping children and animals and their siblings. That's not the same thing as saying that a gay person should not be allowed to live their lives, for example. Gage actions and character proves this. No, you! I am a living testimony, a living witness to the madness of Gage. No, you're just a bitch on the internet that cries about nothing. I know more about Gage instead of than. Excellent job, dipshit. Gage knows about himself. Not really, because a lot of the things that I know about me are things that you yourself would never know because you lack the capacity for introspection. Which is an understatement, because Gage doesn't know much period to begin with. Excellent job, you illiterate retard. He cares if you're LGBT+. No, I don't. I don't care if you're gay or not. Just look at how many times in his videos that he mocks us on a daily basis with his annoying mumbling of LG blah blah blah. I say blah 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 because I'm getting sick and tired of having to repeat the entire goddamn alphabet. I shouldn't have to repeat 12 fucking letters or numbers or dollar signs or a poop emoji or whatever. I'm just gonna say LGBT. And leave it at that, because I don't feel like learning 45 to 50 different made-up things that people started tacking on to the LGBT afterwards. Piss off and die. Again, Gage is a chronic liar with no remorse of his sins against you. He said mean things about me. I'm gonna fucking cry. Seriously, hang yourself. Yeah, he makes it seem like you made all of the mistakes, when in fact it was him all along. Well, you do make a lot of the fucking mistakes when you act like a whiny little dick sucker to everyone and piss everyone off, while acting like a crying little asshole to everyone. No one in the world needs to bullshit anyone about you at that point, because all you do is talk shit to people and then try to vilify them for even remotely disagreeing with you. Gage is a manipulative conservative. You literally try to gaslight and browbeat people into complying with your dumbass views. Shut up. He is an expert at mind games and mental control. Not really, I just have the right to disagree with you. Of course, Gage denies it, because he is trying to protect his agenda at the cost of your livelihood, which Gage cares nothing about. Does he hate the LGBT community? He mocks them and wants them destroyed. No, I want pedophiles and child molesters destroyed. That's not the same thing as attacking the LGBT. Eat shit and die. Gage wants to, quote, banish all LGBT members out of America. No, I want all the pedophiles and rapists sent out of America. That's not the same thing as LGBT people. Shut up. AKA conservative homophobic state. Shut up, Nazi. This is why America needs a Democrat in the White House. To keep crazy people like Gage from locking the LGBT plus community in the gas chambers like in the Holocaust. Translation: anyone that doesn't agree with you is automatically trying to kill gay people because people don't like you. Well. Because everyone knows gay isn't going to stop the banishment of the LGBT community. I'm just going to say rainbow community every time you say LGBTP+. Because I don't feel like fixing it every single time I see it. But we'll take as far as it needs until it's only straight white conservatives in America. In the world only. May God help us all! Yeah, that's not accurate, shit boy. That's not accurate at all. You realize that a lot of the people in my family, on both sides, are people that have married into other ethnic backgrounds. So eat shit. Shut up. Okay? You lying cunt. Nothing I've ever said has actually been proven that I want people that are a different race gone from anywhere. I just feel like I have the right to disagree with people for their religious views or some of their personal views. That does not mean I want one ethnicity or any ethnicity to just be removed from the country or the planet for no real fucking reason. If you're so fucking stupid and desperate that you need to cook up that bullshit narrative to feel like you're right, then you need to catch a fucking noose. Alright, we're back, and before we begin this, I just want to say to the author, go fuck yourself, you retarded ass little bigot. Seriously, you screeching little piglet, maybe if you'd stop screaming like a retard at everyone and trying to convince people that everyone you don't like is a Nazi, maybe people would like you more, I don't know. Like, no, just call me crazy here. But maybe you should just listen to this for a split second. Perhaps if you'd stop being a retarded fucking dogmatic piece of dog shit, who needs to constantly portray everything as us versus them, then maybe you'd be more relatable. Maybe you'd be more likable. If you weren't always just saying that everyone that disagrees with you even slightly is automatically the automatic disagreement of every opinion you've ever held, ever. Maybe if you'd respected the fact that the human condition and the human experience is a lot more complex than nuanced than you'd understand, then maybe, just maybe, you'd be capable of actually growing as a human being. But I don't think you're ever going to. Because for you to accept the fact that you could be wrong about something would also imply you'd have the mental ability to look at your actions and think to yourself, hey, maybe being a retarded dick to everyone isn't the way to make people like me. But people like you normally don't. More often than not, people like you tend to victimize yourselves over the criticism you get and automatically call it bigotry because that's the only thing you can know. That's like the only thing that you know how to do that doesn't just involve crying and sobbing and bitching about something that you kind of bring upon yourself. Alright, with that little tangent out of the way, let's get back to it. Chapter 6, celebrating 3 years. I don't get why you'd be celebrating, considering the fact that this entire book is basically just you crying about being disliked. It's been exactly 3 years since Gage and his cult targeted me for their hateful conservative campaign missions. HC2M. Can you stop trying to act like this is some sort of military operation? It's not. It's literally a handful of people calling you stupid on the internet for having dumb views. And racist smear campaign, RSC, for the very reason of brainwashing me. No, people are just bringing forth counter-arguments to the things that you say. And the reason you consider it to be brainwashing is because since other people who are sensible, rational adults can oppose your views without needing to cry like you do or try to constantly do appeals to authority, it makes you maybe second-guess yourself, and that's what makes you think you're being brainwashed, is when you actually start to consider the fact that maybe you're just batshit insane. For 3 years, I have been called every bad word in the English language. Ass liquor. There's another one. I've been verbally abused. Again, verbal abuse only means something in the United States if it's actually someone with an interpersonal relationship with you. Otherwise, it's just a disagreement. Slandered and misrepresented, among other things. There's nothing to misrepresent with you when you actively oppose the police arresting child molesters. When you actively go out of your way to say that anyone that disagrees with rape is a bigot. When you actively go out of your way to say that shit about people, guess what? There's no representation required because you said those things completely on your own. Gage orchestrated and ran those operations. It's not an operation. People just have the right to disagree with you, and if someone sees some retarded asshole harassing their friend and screeching at them over dumb bullshit, they have the right to say that they want them to fuck off and go away. Gage wants transgender people. Transgender people, no, just you. 2. Shut up and go away. I want you to shut up and go away because you're harassing other people for no reason at all except for the fact that you need to be right by harassing people until they go away from the internet, and then you can just sit there and jerk yourself off to the thought that you think you're smarter than everyone because you just harass people until they leave. He thinks that transgender people are retards. No, I think you're a retard. And egomaniacs, I think you're an egomaniac because you literally act like you're writing these horseshit books is somehow a display of intellect. It's not. It's the display of someone who's brain dead and just crazy as shit. This is what I have to deal with on a daily basis. Basis finally spelled correctly after 370, close to 50 pages of not spelling it right. And here's the thing, it's not a daily basis. You decide to go up to people when they ignore you and keep making an ass of yourself until they block you. And even when they block you, you go out of your way to harass people even further by doing shit that you hope gets their attention so that they'll say something to you again, just so you can call them harassers when they tell you to leave them alone. You dumb dick. While everyone else lives their lives in peace, I have to deal with spamming comments every day. Okay, here's the thing. Why is it that if someone leaves one paragraph worth of a comment and they start actively picking out point for point certain things you said in the video that are completely fucking ridiculous, that's considered spamming to you, but you can literally just copy and paste the same comment 50 times and then just copy and paste it into the comment section, and for some reason that's not qualified as spam. Threats to my life. Mean words directed at you when saying that someone should smash you across the head with a hammer is not the same thing as someone saying they intend to do it or have someone do it to you. They just simply say that it would be a blessing for the world around you if you miraculously ended up being flatlined under a steamroller. In character assassination. It's not character assassination when you say something fucked up and people quote what you say word for word, except they actually apply the real words that apply to these situations to it, because you yourself tend to do this thing where you lie by omission. All of these things were approved by Gage. People don't need my approval to call you a retard. They do that entirely on their own, and they have every right to, regardless of how I would feel about the matter regardless. As an activist for the LGBT plus rights and supporter of Black Lives Matter. Excellent grammar, dipshit. I have dealt with morons like Gage on a daily basis. Basis misspelled again. Here's the thing, though. It has nothing to do with BLM. Or LGBT rights. It has to do with the fact that you went up advocating for fucking pedophilia, and then you start screeching about it when people point out that's their particular problem. No one else gives a fuck about those problems. The other things that were mentioned prior, being a supporter of BLM or LGBT, those are not part of the situation. They never have been. And you know that. But you keep trying to make it about those things so that anyone that disagrees with you is perceived to be a bigot and a racist because you're a piece of dog shit who knows for a fact the only thing you can do is hide behind identity politics to make yourself feel like less of a failure. You're the biggest moron in the room because you're too intellectually dishonest and mentally stunted to accept the fact that lying by omission is more detrimental to your case than telling the truth might be. The same times that people, conservatives, bully simply Kian, liberal and gay YouTuber, for wearing makeup as a guy. No one gives two fucks about Kian. Kian's not relevant to this whole goddamn situation at all. I am not the only victim of conservatives on YouTube and elsewhere. Where were you doing elsewhere? Amos Yee, activist from Singapore. Okay. Let's just fill the audience in. Amos Yee was a known pedophile advocate who was actually... He had initially got asylum in the United States for wanting to be a free speech advocate, which that in and of itself, no big deal. However, he then started advocating for pedophilia and people owning child pornography, and that's when people had gotten very, very, very upset. Justifiably so. But remember, we're not going to mention the part that Amos was in prison recently and actually was sent back to prison like a little bit under a year ago for violating his parole because he sent a picture of his dick to a 14-year-old girl. But remember, that part of the story conveniently sticks itself together whenever you try to flip to the next page, because retard here doesn't want anyone to know this happened. Jasmine is amazing. Drag queen, Latita drag queen, all the YouTubers who make coming out videos, etc. all are victims. Again, I feel bad for Desmond within the sense that his mother has basically stripped him of an identity because he doesn't have any identity except for the ones that his mother essentially made for him. I mean, I genuinely feel bad for Desmond because I realize that he doesn't have an identity. He doesn't. He doesn't have a fucking identity. His identity is whatever his mother has made for him on the internet. That's going to be all he's known as his whole life. He's never going to be able to step outside of that image that his mother's crafted for him on the internet, and that's what's really, really sad. Some handle it better than others. Oh, look, you actually used Dan correctly for the first time. Give this little idiot a sticker. Others commit suicide. Hence, the conservative like Gage and his cult are death in our communities. No, because people committing suicide on account of random people I've never heard of or met harassing them to the brink of suicide is not the same thing as me being a part of it. Piss off and die. Some protest. Okay, you should protest bigotry, but that does not mean that protesting bigotry should automatically mean that other people be silenced. It just means that you should be able to tell people that you find their views to be bigoted or unfair, and then just ignore each other. That's all you need to do. Some cry. You cry over dumb shit. You don't cry over actual horrible things. You cry over nothing, which Gage doesn't care about because he has no access to his emotions or his humanity. What the fuck does that mean? I don't have access to my humanity. What, is there like a chip in my fucking brain that just cuts off my ability to be empathetic towards other human beings because I don't automatically cry every time you get your feelings hurt by something I say? Piss off. You've said mean things to me and don't cry about it when I'm upset. Well, of course not. You're an asshole. Why would I be upset with the fact that you're an ass and that no one has to agree with you? This is more or less like basic fare on the internet. People are going to say things towards you you don't fucking like. And you can learn to handle it either one of two ways. Either ignore it, or take it as a point of reflection if a lot of the things you're saying are being ridiculed. And some report them. What are you gonna do? Scream and cry on the internet and do things to get people's negative attention on you and then cry that they're not falling down because you want to file a bunch of frivolous reports to get them removed? Grow up. No matter how they handle it, the suffering of these people is blood, which is on the hands of Gage. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because random people hurting random people, neither people who I know or even associate with, they are not an extension of my will, nor am I responsible for the actions of total strangers. If some transgender teenager, for example, is beaten to death by a bunch of assholes in the middle of nowhere fucking Texas, I'm not responsible for that because I don't know of it. At least unless it's on the news. And even then, I'm not sitting there cheering like, yeah, get him. It's like, oh, fuck, man, why? Why are we doing this to each other still? But, you know, you won't like that because it means that you're seeing me actually being somewhat upset with the fact that an innocent person just got murdered. But you don't care because you can't use this person as an excuse. Meaning that the suffering humanity is on Gage, so Gage is to blame for all those who have suffered by Gage hand. There's a difference between me directly doing something that makes someone else actually suffer in the real world, where you consider there's actually been a real detrimental effect on their life, and then there's you being called a retard, pedophile, faggot on the internet, and then crying about it and acting like anything that's said against you is automatically the same thing as walking up and whacking a bunch of trans people for no reason. Seriously, you're the definition of everything wrong with the trans community, and you don't even realize it because you're basically creating all these bullshit reasons why an actual bigot could get back at them with nothing. But you don't care because it's in the name of getting your own bar ends across. What Gage is doing is wrong and illogical. Again, you don't believe in morals, so it can't be wrong. And it's not really illogical to openly say I dislike someone for behaving in a shitty way. It's simply me voicing my opinion about it. You don't go around forcing ideology on people. That's literally all you do. That's how you turn the world against you like Gage has. No, because I've never tried to make people believe me. I've simply proposed a counter-argument to your statements. Whatever Gage's motive was to bully others is lost and hidden by the action which is bullying. There was no motive except being able to disagree with people and scrutinize their views. If you're so stupid you can't figure that out as like a 30-year-old man, then you're never going to figure it out. So 3 years of nothing came from Gage's campaign. It's not a campaign, it's just someone having a back and forth with you because you kept making a point to be up their ass about nothing. Gage wasted 3 years of his life with nothing to show for it but investigations, angry YouTubers, and 8 books against him. Translation. You went out of your way to try to play detective, failed miserably at it, you're mad because you can't make people do what you want, and you wrote these shitty fucking dick-swallowing books as a sad attempt to try to destroy me, but the reality is all it did was make people think that you're fucking nuts. He ruined his reputation, his credibility, and his trustworthiness. Let's see, I don't really have a reputation because I'm essentially nobody. Credibility, I seemingly have more credibility than you because I actually have a consistent story to tell, whereas your story changes every other week. Trustworthiness, why would anyone need to trust you? Like, I'm not you, dude. I don't lie, depending upon who I'm talking to. Gage made enemies, victims, and lost lots of his videos on YouTube. Again, you going out of your way to flag people's videos because you get hurt on the internet is not the same thing as YouTube making some sort of grand moral judgment. So nothing but bad karma came from Gage bullying me. Translation, you went out of your way to do a little reporting spree, and in your mind that's karma because the system's incredibly broke. And yet he is still making videos calling me a faggot, homophobic, saying that you're not Asian when I am. Denial. I don't care if you're Asian or not. You don't look Asian, you don't act Asian, therefore you're not. Shut up. Saying I'm not from another country, whatever that means, slander. Well, it's not slander. You were born in Trenton, New Jersey. It says so in your own fucking... It says that you were from Trenton, New Jersey in the Philippines. Your Vote Smart profile says that you were born in Denver, Colorado, which means it's either one or the other. Yeah, I am stupid and a retard. Bullying. Well, here's the thing. You call other people retard all the time, so why is it only bullying if some people do it to you, but not if you do it to them? So clearly, he has not learned a lesson from his mistake that he made when he decided it would be okay to bully innocent people for made-up reasons, cause that only makes sense to the mindset of Gage and his cronies. Translation. People criticize you for having dumb fucking opinions and tell you that it's not okay to lie about them just because you're mad about their opinion being different from yours. And you decide that the only way to deal with that is to piss and moan and cry because you have the mindset of a retarded toddler. I am Asian. That does not change just because Gage is living in his delusion. Well, here's the thing. It's not living in a delusion. I just have a hard time believing that you're Asian, considering the fact that you look like a black man. Dumbass. I am not a faggot. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You are a retarded bundle of nails. I am a human being who Gage victimized for over 3 years and still continues to do so without any legitimate reason to do so. I don't need a reason to tell you to leave me alone and stop being a douche. You create reasons just by yammering your retarded fucking mouth about everything. That I am stupid or retarded. And in fact, am an intelligent person who has written and published 9 books, more than what Gage ever did. Gage never once published a book. Well, here's the thing. It's easy to publish a book when all you do is just shit onto a pen and then rub it on yourself and then roll all over the fucking paper and shit with it. You're so goddamn dumb that you can't even spell basic words properly, and yet you're trying to lecture other people about their intellect, which is kind of sad. Because keep in mind, a lot of the words that you misspell are easy words to spell. They are not difficult to spell at all. A lot of the words that you misspell are words that you mainly misspelled because you're a retard who's too lazy to actually check his own spelling and grammar. I am not an American, nor does that matter unless you are Gage. Well, it matters because you keep trying to pretend that you know more about the country than everyone else does, and then at the same time you keep trying to tell people that you live in a made-up country, keep trying to insist that your made-up country has the right to usurp power from that person's country of origin, just so you can simply try to threaten them with bullshit that you know that you have no capacity to deliver. Because Gage doesn't care about your suffering or his bad behavior against you. He only cares about his yes men, who are only copycats of Gage. AKA, they tell Gage what he wants to hear. No, it's more like people that can objectively prove what they say are more likely to be upfront with you than the retard that needs to constantly change his identity and alter his own statements every other week so that he doesn't sound suspicious to the people around him. Like K or Kyle, Gage brother. K last name misspelled and redacted. Kyle first name misspelled. I mean, how does it feel to be so fucking dumb that you have to learn how to spell and you still can't? Like, seriously, it's a 4-letter name. You can't spell a 4-letter name. Gage lived a world for apology and wasting his time with his nonsense and victimizing people that has nothing to do with his mental illness. You think anyone that doesn't agree with you is mentally ill because you're obsessed with always being right. Like, always. Even in the situation where you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you need to be right to feel like you're not wrong. Seriously. Do you think people like you? Do you think people look at you and think, this is the person who I want to be like? No. People look at you like you're a fucking mentally defective sheep who they then decide to get the fuck away from when they realize all your views are abhorrent. People are not mentally ill for disagreeing with you. You're mentally ill for saying crazy shit that's not true. But some good has come from this. It allowed for the Democratic national government to show international community a very The very flaw in America leading to is failure. Excellent grammar, dumbass. Is as in is instead of it's. Great job, dumbass. Remember, guys, he's so smart and so accomplished. He can't spell a fucking pasta. He can't spell the word it's. Remember, so accomplished and so intelligent. It's failure. Gage craving conservatives who act like him. No. Criticizing you on the internet is not going to make the United States fail. In fact, that's probably one of the reasons the United States continues to exist, is that there are people willing to challenge preconceived notions and understandings. He created a dialogue on how to handle cyberbullying. Yeah, I know, crying on the internet is the same thing as actually doing something meaningful. How to handle threats from conservatives. It's not a threat, you're just a retard that cries about nothing. Like Gage, and who to contact to hold them accountable for their hate crimes. Can you imagine being such a silent, can you imagine being the victim of an actual fucking hate crime and that the people investigating you being assaulted by a pair of bigots in an alleyway gets interrupted by some retard screaming about being called a faggot on the computer? And for some reason people need to stop everything they're doing. That way you being physically beaten and almost killed needs to grind to a halt so that someone can investigate this guy being called a dipshit on the internet. Yeah, that's gonna do a whole lot of nothing to help other people, huh? It opened up a whole new avenue on the cults. I'm sure it did. That cults can be run online and can harm innocent people worldwide. Yeah, I know. People that don't like you are a cult because you're a little fucking brain dead retard whose brain is fucking broken. Seriously, if you need to constantly tell everyone that those that don't agree with you are a cult, guess what? You're the crazy one. You're like the fucking nutjob that runs from the fucking clouds thinking that they're part of some sort of drone surveillance program. A 21st century problem like Gage, a 21st century solution, like censorship and harassment campaigns and doxing and impersonating people in their lives, hoping to get people to harass them with thirst bots. But remember, it is a completely sane, rational human being that is not capable of doing anything fucked up whatsoever. The sarcasm should be so thick in my voice you could use a ticket as a stew. Is this something that the global community needs to work on and put as a top priority on the global agenda? So criticizing people on the internet deserves to be censored and suppressed because the person being criticized needs to cry about it. Fan-fucking-tastic. Dealing with Gage taught me how blessed I am to have actual intelligence and a reason to live. You don't have intelligence or a reason to live because you literally get borderline crazy and try to kill yourself every other week. And you're not intelligent because every time someone tries to ask you a direct question, you misunderstand them intentionally to annoy them because you're an asshole. I could never imagine myself in Gage's shoes because his lifestyle would be the death of me, which Gage has kept saying all the time, how happy and ecstatic he would be to see me dead. Well, of course I'd be happy to see you fucking dead. You're a danger to everyone around you. You're a fucking pedophile, molestation, incest, bestiality, and rape advocate. Everyone around you should be fucking concerned. You seem like the kind of person that would grab a puppy from a litter of puppies and start humping it religiously in front of everyone in the room because you think this would be the only way to get people to acknowledge you again is to just do something fucking crazy. I could not live 1 minute being hateful to anyone on YouTube, let alone making up stories about situations that never happened. This is literally all you do. You literally make up shit that no one fucking said and no one fucking did just to pretend that you're a victim because it's the only way to get people to pay attention to you. Seriously. You cry about people beating you up and shit, but you never prove that it happened. And then at the same time, you want everyone to believe you when you're so finicky about a lot of the things that go on in the life that you claim to have recorded that it's hard for anyone to believe you. Nobody cares about your past but you, Gage. Well, you seem to, because you make a big fucking song and dance deal about it and a couple of these fucking shitty little turds. Let it go. I'd let it go if you'd stop being a little asshole and screaming at everyone, trying to make everyone feel like shit over their problems that are not your business to attack them over anyway. Forgive whoever made you a bitter, psychotic conservative and move on. Here's the thing, the people that... I'm not a psychotic conservative. I'm not bitter either. You're just a dumb fucking cunt who needs to feel like he's right. So he starts petty little bullshit arguments with people and starts crying about things that he doesn't like because he has the brain capacity of a fucking carrot. So he likes to cry about every little minute thing that goes on in the world, and whenever someone says one mean thing to him, he borderline threatens to kill himself because it's the only way anyone at all will say things to him. And here's the thing, people are forgiven if they're actually worthy of forgiveness. Not everyone in the world is worthy of forgiving. Here's the thing, if people deserve to be forgiven, then why did you write all these little retarded faggoty fucking books? You figure someone like you who claims to be so enlightened would have just been able to look at this and say, you know what? I should just drop this whole thing, move along with my life. Things are not going to get better if I keep letting myself get fucking sucked into it, and then fuck off. But instead, you kept making it a bigger and bigger problem, because you finally want someone to show up and beat the shit out of you. You finally want that straw that breaks the camel's back to occur, so that way someone just flies to the fucking internet and drop kicks you in the fucking jaw. That's what you want. You want someone to finally just fucking snap and break your fucking neck. That way you can die feeling like you've accomplished something. You'll think you're a martyr for trans causes. No, you're just another crazy asshole that would have died for nothing. Your YouTube videos means nothing. Well, if they mean nothing, why be upset? Words have no meaning. Well, if they have no meaning, why be upset? What people care about is hearing you say, I'm sorry for what I have done. Kill yourself, faggot. And for you to disappear. Translation. You want people just to apologize to you for your gaslighting cunty fucking behavior, and then you want them to leave social media so you basically can jerk yourself off and tell yourself you won. That's all it is. You don't want people to leave for their own good, for the development of their personhood. You don't want them to leave to improve who they are as a person and possibly pursue their dreams or their fucking, I guess you could say, their aspirations. Instead, you basically just say, you need to apologize to me because I'm a butthurt fucking pedophile faggot. And then you basically go anyway, if you don't leave, and if you don't say you're sorry, I'm gonna keep harassing you until I make you leave. Wah! And that's the way you handle everything. That's the way you fucking handle everything. And yet, for some reason, you want people to be okay with the way that you act. You want people just to look at you and say, yes, this is the person who I should apologize to, who's this big of a piece of shit. No one's going to apologize to you. You don't deserve an apology. You deserve a kick in the fucking jaw. Until you say those words, the world will ignore you as they have been for almost a year. Well, if the world was ignoring me, I wouldn't be getting consistent views during this time period, dipshit. If Gage can make the choice to abuse humanity, he can make the choice to stop. It's not abuse humanity. You're just a dumb pussy who acts like everything that's negative that happens to you is the fault of me, and then the human race is somehow suffering when you do. Shut up. The choice is his and his only. If it's my choice, then I'll choose for myself. Fuck off. For Gage is responsible for his actions, not me or anyone else. You are responsible for someone's actions when you constantly try to gaslight and antagonize, which leads to more shit happening. Shut up. Gage has no excuse or reason to act the way that he does and to treat people like dirt. Oh, that's not fair. Dirt deserves so much better treatment than you, because at least dirt's actually useful for something. You'd only be useful if someone puts you in the dirt. Then you'd be useful for worm food, maybe fertilizer. If Gage did not want me to speak the truth against him, then he shouldn't have started trouble with me. Translation. If you don't want me to bullshit people about the things you believe in, about the things you say to others, then maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't have exercised an opinion that differed from my own within my presence. Otherwise, I wouldn't have felt the need to try to disassemble your life in front of you, and then shit all over it like a little retarded bird. Kill yourself. Gage is his own problem, and until he stops utilizing his defense mechanisms and face reality, will he live life to its fullest. You're acting like someone just needs to stop disagreeing with you and stop being able to think critically and challenge with the dumb shit you say, and only when they're an entirely different person than they need to be will they be happy. This is the kind of culty bullshit you tell people when you're trying to sell them this dumbass idea. I pray for Gage every day because one day someone will hurt him, and the only place Gage will end up after that is the grave. You're acting like me disagreeing with you is like a guaranteed way for me to get fucking gacked in public. It wouldn't. In fact, I think the main reason that I would get gacked in public is if I went along with your views, because it means I might be a threat to others around me, and some concerned citizen might have suddenly felt the need to put that down before it became an issue. I have no enemies. Yeah, you do. You have enemies, because everywhere you go, you seemingly need to be on top of this fucking situation, even if no one asked you to be there. I don't want enemies, and I don't create enemies. Yeah, you do. You act like an asshole and pester people, and then that's what people remember about you, is that you're an asshole that pesters them. I am no even an enemy to myself. Excellent grammar, dipshit. You are your own worst enemy, because your own mind seems to constantly turn against you all the fucking time. That's why you have these depressive episodes where you get suicidal because no one talks to you. It's because of the fact that it's your mind being your own worst enemy. When Gage vents his hatred at me, I always remind myself that Gage is sick in the heart, the mind, and the spirit. No, you're just an asshole. People don't like the fact that you're an asshole. They tell you as much, and then you keep trying to delude yourself into believing, well, it's because they're possessed by the devil. No, it's because you're an asshole, and people don't like the way you talk to them. It's not some bullshit demon controlling them, it's just you being an asshole and them simply saying, fuck off, get lost. And you take that as like possession because your brain's fucking busted. He has an evil internal force existing inside of him, and he doesn't know how to rid himself of this demon. No, you're just an asshole, and people tell you you're an asshole. I remind myself that nothing Gage says about me is true, nor is it real. Yeah, it is true. You're an asshole and you fuck with people because you want attention. Those things are entirely accurate. That he is lost in his own little world and not planet Earth that humanity resides on now. Translation: I must be crazy and out of my mind because otherwise you have to accept you are. I remind myself that evil has no hold over my soul and nobody has the power to take away my peace unless I allow them to. Which you quite frequently seem to, because whenever someone does so much as disagree with you, you cry about it and get offended. Gage is trying to steal my peace, but is it a lost battle? On your side, yeah, because it seems like me just existing seems to do that. For my soul is a fortress against evil and a refuge for those who suffer from iniquity. Not really, because there's nothing at all that you could actually do that would maybe guarantee people a better feeling of wellness, because you don't believe in better feelings of wellness. You believe in everyone just being whatever you want them. I never take anything Gage says seriously. Yeah, you do, because if you didn't, you wouldn't have written this entire retarded-ass book. You wouldn't have gotten overly offended about me calling your books garbage. You wouldn't have gotten overly offended about things I say specifically about your views. If you didn't take it seriously, none of this shit would exist. I learned a long time ago that Gage is holding himself back with his mental conditioning, and that Gage actions are in no way, shape, or form my doing. They are your doing when you're acting like an antagonistic, gaslighting cunt to piss people off, and then you go out of your way to cry about it when someone tells you to go away and stop being a dick. That Gage is protecting his inner hatred on me because Gage is lonely and has no one to talk to. No. Here's the thing. Someone that would seek people to talk to would be like you, where they're constantly trying to fish for attention by posting pictures of their saggy tranny tits and putting them out there for everyone to fucking look at, hoping to get some desperate fuck that wants their attention. That's what you do. That's the kind of shit someone does when they're lonely, is that they go out of their fucking way all the time to fish for attention, even if it's from total fucking strangers who would use them like a fleshlight then toss them away. If someone dislikes others, they're not going to pursue people to talk to. They're going to isolate. How are you this damn dumb? He is acting out because he is desperate for attention and to be liked, but he doesn't know how to make friends. I made plenty of friends just by being genuine. I didn't need to bullshit people about my point of view and make up some big fucking song and dance to get people to understand what I'm saying. I just tell people what I think. I may not necessarily do it all the time, primarily because if people don't agree with me and I believe they're going to be complete dickheads about it later, I usually keep it to myself if I feel like it might actually be an issue down the road. Not necessarily all the time, but there are definitely times where I pick my battles. And here's the thing, that you're the one that's desperate to be liked because you literally do everything you can to attach yourself to groups, movements, and causes, but the reality is it's all for your own endgame at the end of the day. You don't actually care about these people, about what they want for. You care about taking advantage of the fact that someone believes in anything because you believe in nothing. Because of my compassionate nature, I don't hate Gage. You're not compassionate. You're not compassionate, okay? Don't lie to anyone about how nice you think you are. Because people that tell themselves they're compassionate are usually some of the least compassionate motherfuckers in the room, because they will always find a way to sucker up to people and then use them and then throw them the fuck away. People like you are all the same. There is not a single thing, dipshit, that you've ever done which suggests that you're actually compassionate to anyone. Literally nothing. I mean, you're not compassionate. You remind me of that person that, I'm so nice, you keep telling yourself how nice you are, you're probably not nice. Like, if a person has to constantly tell themselves they're nice so that they believe it, then guess what? They're not. I don't hate Gage like Gage hates me. Yeah, you do. Except you don't have the balls to say it. You wish I was dead. You wish someone would kill me. You wish I'd lose my job. You wish I'd lose my money. You wish I'd lose my car. You wish that I would lose my relationship because you're angry that someone has anything at all going on for them that makes them feel somewhat happy because you're not happy. Instead of trying to find something that you genuinely enjoy, you go out of your way to look for this bullshit just so you can make yourself miserable. And then at the same time, you try to convince yourself that you know what's right for yourself when you're literally doing the same thing that depresses you and just smashes you into the ground over and over again. I mean, honestly, I think you're a boil on the ass of our species. But I give you more helpful advice than anyone's ever given you in your whole life, it seems, when I constantly say fuck off and stop pestering people for attention. And even if you don't think it's advice, it is actually a very reasonable thing to learn from, because at the end of the day, doing that thing in and of itself might be a lot more beneficial to you than being a whiny dumb fuck that cries about everything. I don't know, maybe consider it. Put it up for advisement. It's a struggle for a closed-minded individual like Gage to see the problems that everyone else around him can see clearly. It's not a problem, it's just something that you decided is a problem because you don't like it. His delusions comes from the fact that Gage is in disbelief that he isn't as perfect as he thought. Here's the thing, I've never said I was perfect. I've always been very clear about being a fallible human being that's made decisions that I wish I could do over if I had the ability to change them. A lot of people have seen me fall on my ass on the internet more times than I can fucking count. But the difference is, I didn't try to make it everyone else's fault every time like you do. A lot of that was just me looking at it and saying, wow, why would I do this stupid fucking thing I did here? I gotta just never do this again because this is fucking stupid. Like, that's not the mindset of someone that thinks they're fucking perfect. That's the mindset of someone that just looks at their actions and think, wow, I wish I could have done that differently. Wish I could have done this differently. Wish I wouldn't have even bothered with this dumb shit because it wasn't worth any of the drama that it started. Etc, etc, etc. These are not the thoughts or the fucking statements of someone who thinks they're perfect. These are the statements of someone that looks at themselves and like, wow, if I could do a lot of things over again, there's a lot of things I would do very differently and some things I wouldn't waste my time with at all. This is not the mindset of someone that's fucking perfect. Gage has been surrounded by yes men for so long that when someone stands up against Gage with good intentions, Gage attacks and strikes like a poisonous snake. It's not poisonous, it's venomous, dipshit. Venom is caused by a bite or sting. Poison needs to be ingested like eating it. And here's the thing. You don't stand up against me with good intentions. You didn't stand up against me at all, really. You basically just bitched and cried and said that anything that I said was automatically wrong without proving it to be so. And then whenever people would ask you for actual evidence to counter-argue against what they were saying, you would just call them a bunch of dumb asshole Nazis and then insist that they were wrong without actually proving it in the first place. You don't stand up against people with any intentions because you don't stand up against people. You just come off like a whiny shitbag who gets off to being a thorn in people's sides. Sadly for the rest of us, yeah, I'm sure the rest of the world's just falling apart because I exist. Wah, wah, wah. Gage attacks first and asks questions later, which is why so many police are in trouble today. No one gives a fuck about this right now. Cops are not relevant to this, shut the fuck up. I'm disappointed that Gage allows his personal convictions to get in the way of being civilized. I'm not gonna be civilized with a fucking asshole that wastes my fucking time, acts like an antagonistic fuckwit to me, and then goes out of my way to gaslight me and harass me about everything that they say and do. Especially seeing how Gage knows nothing about my beliefs or my life because he never had time to ask. What is there to fucking ask? What is there to fucking ask? You advocate for rape. What is there to fucking ask to a motherfucker like that? Literally fucking nothing. There is nothing at all worth listening to that could ever come out of your fucking mouth when everything you say is either an advocation of rape, an advocation of molestation, an advocation of incest, advocating bestiality, or advocating any other fucking horrendous bullshit thing that people can do to other people when it comes down to taking advantage of someone that's physically or psychologically weaker than them. And then for some reason, you have the fucking audacity to say that everyone else just doesn't understand your beliefs when you've openly wrote them and spoke them before. Seriously. Do you realize how fucking stupid you are when you say that shit and then you pay no heed to the fact that your beliefs have essentially been documented on video and in these retarded ass fucking books? But apparently it's like your brain just shuts down whenever you realize that you come off like a whiny prick. Find a job, fuckwit. Chapter 7. Asking questions is a great way of finding something out. Any particular reason you had to yell it? Gage never asks questions about me. I don't ask questions about shit. I can easily just watch the shit you say and learn from there. A lot of the judgment calls I've made about my opinions towards you are based entirely upon your opinions that you've publicly posted or said. He just assumes things, and he listens to his personal communications director, PCD. No, I just listen to people who have actually seen shit you've said as well that I haven't seen yet. Sadly, on Gage's part, his sources failed him. You are the source. You are legitimately known to be the source of the stupid shit people hear about you because you're the one that says the ignorant shit, and then people more or less use that to try to build a profile about you. Gage, well known to hate homeless people as he constantly goes and teasing them for, quote, living in cardboard boxes and such. No, I tease you for being homeless, not because being homeless is inherently funny, but because your actions are entirely to blame for how you ended up that way. What is funny is that Gage somehow thinks that I am homeless. Well, here's the thing. The reason I, quote, think you were homeless during that given time is because you openly wrote about being in a hostel for gay and trans people, basically sucking up all the resources these people wanted to use because they might have been thrown out by bigoted family members or might have faced actual oppression. Whereas you're only with them because you want to use those things for your own personal benefit instead of actually trying to get yourself back on your feet. Which has been openly mentioned by people at Hope for Homes and Sharps Adult Services, which you wrote about in book number 2 and in book number 3, and even in some parts of book number 1, before you ended up destroying it and then rebuilding it all. But yeah, let's ignore it. Let's just try to Mandela affect everyone here. Which still makes no sense, because even if I was, I am not homeless. Why is that any of Gage's business to begin with? It's not a matter of being someone else's business or not. It's a matter of the fact that you constantly bitch about other people's lives, but you don't really do things to improve your own first. Unless Gage is planning to give millions of dollars to the homeless, to give homes to the homeless, why would someone being homeless be any of interest to someone like Gage, unless he hates the homeless? No, it's literally just, you criticize me for being a whiny bitch, because I say things about other people's lives when I can't even organize my own enough to the point where I have a stable living. But remember, it means you hate the homeless people when you mock me. Whee! Fuck off and die. To make comments like Gage did against the homeless, like those fools who abuse the homeless for personal satisfaction. No. You get offended because I ridicule you for fucking up your own life and doing things that more or less destroy your ability to make a living for yourself. And then you consider that as like anti-homeless rhetoric when it's not. Naturally, I take the side of the homeless. You take the side of anyone that you feel you can use as an excuse as to why you're not at fault for your actions. Homeless people are not safe with people like Gage walking the streets, abusing and bullying them. Again, calling you stupid on the internet is not the same thing as walking up to a homeless Vietnam veteran and attacking them or harassing them. Fuck off. Here's the thing: you belittle a lot of veterans, but there are a lot of veterans who are unfortunately homeless because they come back from the Middle East or from the military all fucked up. I mean, you talk shit about veterans all the time, but a good portion of our veterans are homeless, which I think is a fucking travesty. But you don't care because they are, quote, they're terrorists for for facing combat roles in the military because everyone should just get along. I wish we could, but that's not how the real world works, as much as I would like it. As much as I would like these veterans to be treated better, people like you are the reason they're treated not. Homeless people are human beings just like Gage is, except many of them are far nicer than Gage is. Well, some of them might be nicer to you, only because they don't realize the horrible shit that you're into. But realistically, like, homeless people are like any other group of people. There's a lot of people who just want to get by and survive, and then there are some people who are just genuinely shitty assholes who take advantage of anyone that they can, much like yourself. So what is the point of his verbal attacks against them? It's not them. It clearly isn't directed at me, because I'm not homeless. Cope, 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 cope. So it is directed at all the homeless people in America and the world today. No, it's not. If I happen to be incorrect about a statement I make, it doesn't automatically redirect to someone else. It just means that I happen to be wrong about the one particular statement or judgment or guess. That doesn't automatically redirect it at other people. It just means in that particular moment I might have been wrong. That's not the same fucking thing as someone being redirected like a fucking Mirror Force trap card. A lot of trouble that Gage is in could have been avoided if he just stopped being afraid of an education and asked me what the truth is. So more or less, I am to believe everything you say, despite the fact that so far, your relationship with the truth has been more strained and more estranged than my own relationship with my father. Okay. Everything that Gage thinks that he knows about me is a lie. Literally everything I, quote, think I know about you is directly from shit that you've either posted in these books or said yourself. So unless you're lying to everyone, then I know more than you'd care for me to know. It's been proven many times in the past, like when Gage kept getting my name wrong. Again, me getting your name wrong because I refuse to accommodate you is not the same thing as you not being that person the entire time everyone's aware of your existence. Shut the fuck up. When I said that I support the abuse of people, well, you do. You support sexual abuse. You support people being sexually assaulted and sexually taken advantage of. That's actually what you support, because you personally don't think it's anyone's business, even if someone's being hurt. Which means you do think and support it because you don't care about it. Which I have never said that I have ever condoned that. Well, yeah, you do, except you say it in a very different way. And then Gage said I was kicked out of my mom's house, which is not true. Can you stop saying mums? You're not British, cocksucker. Because I decided to leave on my own merit to expand my business elsewhere from where I was living at the time. If that's so true, then why was your mother so fucking frantic, manic, and pissed off at you during your debate with Justin? Or when Gage said that Demigulchania does not exist. Well, it doesn't. Point to it on a fucking map. When in fact it does. Point to it on a map. There is the Demigulchania Corporation that functions as a local arm of the Demigulch national government, which runs the Democratic Republic of Demigulchania. I can hear Gage mocking these things right now, which everyone should mock. I mock anything that doesn't fucking exist. Especially when it's openly espoused to exist by some dumb fucking illiterate sped monkey. The DLC handles the finances, the DNG, ding, handles the laws, and DIRDS is the country itself. So, translation. Made up, made up, made up. Okay. All these misconceptions and misunderstandings could have been avoided if Gage would not be as embarrassed as he is now if he asked me questions and did proper research on the subject/topic at hand before pushing a narrative that I am homeless and my mom kicked me out and the Democratic Republic of Demigulchania does not exist, etc. Well, here's the thing. People had reason to believe that you were homeless because you were living at Sharp's Adult Services for a while, which was basically a clinic/rehabilitation program that was meant to get people off the streets and give them a possibility of finding employment and housing, which is literally the entire mission statement of the fucking thing. But remember, apparently your memory just eats itself whenever it's convenient for you just not to remember shit. Your mom did kick you out because otherwise you wouldn't have needed to flee all the way across the fucking country to try to find yourself a better place to live. If you really did do it of your own volition, you wouldn't have been so ass hurt and angry to the point where you seemingly get pissed off and frustrated every other week. And your made-up country doesn't exist because it occupies no landmass. I could charge Gage with slander and sue him in court. No, you couldn't. Because at the end of the day, me guessing these things or speculating is just that, guesses and speculation. That is not the same thing as the shit you say, where you blatantly and unabashedly accuse people of being Nazis and white supremacists and domestic abusers, with literally no proof except for the testimony of some fat dog rapist who's currently burning in the pits of hell. Very different. But I don't want to. You don't want to because you knew that if I tried to counter-sue you for defamation, I'd have a lot more of an ability to sue you. Gage doesn't have any money to buy decent clothes or get a proper set for his videos. Yeah, I know, I don't have like $20,000 to buy an entire studio set. It's almost like nobody that's not famous or wealthy has that kind of money just lying around to be expended for no reason. What makes me think that I get anything from a legal settlement? Well, to get a legal settlement, you'd actually have to be able to effectively argue. You'd have to be able to effectively argue that what I'm saying is inherently libelistic or slanderous. Which you can't. Because you could argue that it's speculation at best, mean words at worst. Gage is worth less, excellent grammar dipshit, financially than I am. Dude, you don't have any sort of net worth because your entire existence is predicated on being a retard bitch boy on the internet. I honestly wish that Gage would stop his madness and start acting civilized. I don't act civilized to people who act like an antagonistic asshole to me because me being civil would only get people to spit in my face further. People tried to treat you cordially at first, but the problem is, Professor Curious has been there to see this as well. Whenever people so much as try to give you a single foothold to stand on, where they're not just fucking bulldozing you, for example, all you do is try to run them around in circles anyway, so it makes no fucking difference. His persona is old. It's not a persona. It's not a persona. Cut the act and act normal or human. It's an easy thing to do. Then why don't you stop acting like a whiny little baby bitch who needs to constantly run people around in circles to be antagonistic? People would like Gage more if you just acted like a human being and stopped behaving like a jihadist. I thought you liked jihadists because they usually promote your religion, the blow yourself up in the name of God so you get 72 virgins religion. Now I know not everyone that practices Islam does that. Very few people actually do. But the fact is, jihadist primarily associates with Islam, not atheism. Piss off. We have enough hatred on this planet, so people would side more with those who are peaceful like myself, instead of a warmonger like Gage. It's not warmongering just to say that you're a dick. It's sad but true, and I only tell the truth because I don't want to be cursed like Gage is. You lie all the time, it's just that you try to lie in just such a way so that no one has any information except the information that you knowingly share with them, which isn't very much. Destined to hate humanity until he passes away. Not really, I don't hate humanity, I just don't think that there are a lot of really shitty people on the planet. And people need to be made aware of them so that they know who to avoid. I prefer optimism than a pessimistic ideology like Gage. It's not supposed to be then, not then, dumbass. And here's the thing, I'm more of a realist. I'm not a pessimist. The aggressive style I deliver content is not the same thing as what I think of everyone all day, every day, the rest of my fucking life. That's genuinely not how I am outside of the internet. A lot of it is just simply me trying to add performance art to the videos to make them more engaging to the content because a lot of people like that sledgehammer style of delivery. Not everyone wants a scalpel for delivery when it comes down to getting into the nuances of a situation because sometimes people just feel like they don't need to know the minute details for every little thing you're saying. The only reason I have to explain things to people like you is because you're fucking stupid. Telling people, quote, fuck you, only proves that everything I said about Gage being hateful, a hateful bully to be right. No. It's more like, you're a dick, people don't like you because you act like a dick, and then you try to make it everyone else's fucking problem. I'm not afraid of Gage. Well, you say you're not afraid, but then you do everything humanly possible to portray me as the devil of your made-up religion so you can cry about it. Nor am I impressed by anything he has done over the past 3 years. It's never been done to impress anyone. I'm just simply trying to exercise my right to an opinion. The only lesson I got out of this experience with Gage, well, you don't have lessons. You have things that you more or less make up and then decide that are right because you've said them, is to never deal with conservatives because you'll regret it in the end. Not a conservative. You call me a conservative because you're a whiny fucking crybaby that needs to politicize every minute detail you suffer. Gage hatred, form SJWs, and liberals, the left, doesn't help his cause either. There's a difference between criticizing a bunch of whiny pussy crybabies who needs to make everything their problem because someone else said something they didn't like, and then there's actually being a bigot who hates people only because they're liberal. Shut up. The left doesn't support his cause either. No one cares. SJW supports society, so by hating SJWs, Gage also hates society as a whole. No, it means I criticize the whiny assholes who will openly turn on their own friends over one disagreement because that disagreement doesn't align with them politically. Well, let's be honest. If I had a friend like you, that friend would be the most disliked motherfucker in our circle of friends. Let me explain why. Imagine our friend was not a creepy pedophile like you, was not some crazy trending dipshit who needs to constantly say they're trans every time they do something shitty like you. We would literally have a friend that would have to do the same shit you do, where every time someone says something even remotely different from what they personally believe, they need to turn it into a fucking argument every time they see that motherfucker now. That's literally you. That person would not have any friends at the end of the week because they would basically just be starting shit with everyone around them for no real fucking reason except for the fact they're pissed about something stupid that they had to make it everyone else's problem. Liberals, the left, supports democracy and human rights. Not necessarily. There are plenty of people that are left-wing, for example, who are actually against other people having human rights because they personally feel like those people having rights is an inconvenience for them. So by hating liberals, the left, Gage by default hates democracy and human rights. Potato, potato, no. You're basically comparing a rock to an apple. Remember, this is Gage, whose belief system ideology is backwards and upside down. I wish your head was backwards and upside down. So when Gage says, I don't hate one person, I only hate one person, what he really means is, I hate the entire group. No, it doesn't. Because if I dislike someone for their fucked up actions, their actions are what I'm focusing on. Not where they stand politically, not who they are racially, not who they are gender-wise or sexual orientation-wise, not who they are gender-wise. It's entirely based upon their actions and how they will treat others. Gage never actually says what he means, nor means what he says. Okay, Horton. What's next? They're gonna say, he said what he said and he meant what he meant, so Gage is a bully 100%. What's this, retard? Here's a word. And here's the thing, I do actually tell people what I think. I don't bullshit people like you do. I don't need to misappropriate other people's words to make them look bigoted. Sometimes Gage says things because he's a troll, while other times he is serious. Well, it's almost like when I'm saying things to be a sarcastic ass, it's because I'm just making the point that someone else's ideas are fucking stupid. Both instances are highly dangerous and toxic. Welcome to the fucking internet, you whiny faggot. Welcome to the internet, dickhead. You think the internet's a fucking hog box? Kill yourself. There you go, there's a handful of things from the internet that everyone calls and says to each other. Grow the fuck up. I believe in diversity. No, you don't. You believe in everyone looking different but acting the same. That's what you think. You want everyone to be a hive mind but just look different. Gage believes in eliminating the population, locking them in cages, separating families, and forcing the government to control them like puppets. No, I just don't agree with illegal immigration. That's not the same thing as kicking everyone in the U.S. that's not Caucasian out. That's retarded. Gage is a Trump wannabe. You're the Trump wannabe to the point where you start disassociating your identity with his, only left wing. It's said that one person can have done so much damage to the human physical and mental existence. That means even less than nothing. Love trumps hate, and Gage is full of hate, rage, and unnecessary anger for unreal reasons only known to Gage. No, it's more like, you're an asshole, and that's it. I will never understand Gage madness or the words that he says, meaning that nothing that Gage says make any logical sense, nor do I really care. If you didn't fucking care, you wouldn't have written this shitty fucking book, you cocksucker. Gage, being wrong in his actions, character, logic, and that's the end of it. Translation, everyone's just wrong. I don't have to prove it, you're just wrong. Die in a fire. Gage is not justified to do anything that he has done against humanity, the past 3 years. Again, it's not against humanity, it's criticism of you, shut the fuck up. Gage is not justified to bully others, kill innocent people, and then lie about it being self-defense. Again, it's not a lie if the legal system can actually attest to it being the legal definition of self-defense. Fuck off and die. Harass Asian people. You're not Asian, shut the fuck up. It has nothing to do with your race. In fact, you're a piece of shit. Stalk me. Oh, I'm sorry, cocksucker. Was I the one finding everyone's social media pages and blowing them up for weeks because they told me to fuck off? No, that was you. Slander me. You slander people all the time, and it's not slander to speculate or criticize or mock you. Shut up. Or be transphobic and bigoted against me. Everyone needs to be bigoted against you because you're a dick. Gage was guilty of these things, and it was proven 3 years ago. Fucking cry. Gage will deny this, but it denies everything that is real on Earth. No, I don't. I just deny stupid bullshit you made up or misinterpreted or intentionally misrepresented. That is not the same thing as denying things like water and gravity and sunlight. Everything that happened to Gage was in his imagination. No, it wasn't. Stop gaslighting, cocksucker. I never did one thing to Gage. The justification to abuse me like he has for the past 3 years, or in any way, shape, or form. Translation. I choose not to be responsible for the things that I do. Therefore, nothing at all I do is my fault. Just say it. Just say that you personally choose not to be responsible for the things you say and do to people. It's better you just fucking say it than allude to it without actually having the balls to come out and say it. So those 3 years, that was Gage thinking he can get away with doing evil towards others. Fuck off, you don't believe in evil and good. You're a moral relativist. But he got caught and now he's mad. It's not caught, you're just a pussy that cries about everything. A little bit of a burp there, sorry. Gage is not mad because he has remorse for his actions done against innocent people. You're not innocent just because you personally decide not to be responsible for your choices, cunt. But because he got caught, I'm going quiet because you call me a retarded faggot. Seriously, the moment you kill yourself is the moment the world becomes a better place. But I know when I am doing the right thing by exposing the monster Gage. Okay, when you call someone else a monster, you're dehumanizing them and more or less you're devaluing them and dehumanizing them as a person. But remember, you totally don't do things to hate and dehumanize others. When you're referring to people as monsters, saying they're worth less than you financially, saying that they should be locked in a gulag or face the death penalty or be killed by strangers because they say that your ideas are bullshit. But remember, you don't do nothing wrong. You don't do nothing wrong when you intentionally misrepresent things and say shit that you say you said and then deny it later. Seriously, retard. Kill yourself. And there is nothing wrong with that. Well, there is a lot wrong with it when you basically start lying about people in the hopes of getting them jumped by strangers because you think that by doing so you're going to come out on top if you just cry your little retard tears. Basically just saying that anyone that doesn't like you or agree with you is a fucking Nazi and shit. But then apparently, you want to cry and be a whiny bitch about everything, while at the same time, you don't have the balls to actually hold yourself to the standards that you yourself want to enforce. Anyway, this has been the end of part 2.